Okay. Okay. This is Talmud Torah, the laws of learning Torah. What's going on over here? Okay. Hilchos Talmud Torah. Perek Zayin. Hilchos Talmud Torah. So we continue the topic of Chedem. Because it's a fundamental part of in Sefer Mada is all the fundamentals of Yiddishkeit, of Judaism. And Talmud Torah is the fundamental of that. And honoring Talmud Chacham is what maintains the people the standard of what is considered appropriate practice in Torah mitzvahs. And therefore, the honor of a Talmud Chacham is essential. One of the ways of enforcing that Talmud Chacham are respected is that if someone disrespects them, they're put in the Chedem. Well, the concept of the Chedem is a basic. Okay, it's not working.
It should work vertical. Maybe it's upside down.
No. It's not. It's just whatever. It's not working. It's a moody thing to do. Okay, never mind. Forget it. Yeah, never mind. This is not working either. Look at this. Okay, no one wants to see me today. No problem. All right, so. Perek Zayin. Chacham Zak, the Chacham. You have a Talmud Chacham who's an elder, who's Talmud Chacham, who's not just in years, but he's actually acquired Talmud Chacham as Talmud Chacham. Lav Dafki is the oldest biologically. Okay, the Chenasi Yav Bez and Shasarach. Or and the Nasi, let's say the Av Bezin, who's second in command, who go off the right direction, they start behaving in a negative fashion. Again, not necessarily every sort of mafahesya, but things that are unbefitting to people of that stature. That's what Sarach is, they spoiled, yeah. Which if it's basically the things that require needling. Yeah, they go off the right direction. They're behaving unideally. In other words, they're doing the things that we said yesterday. The Moshe person not supposed to do, right? They have dangerous things in the property. Even anything which is mechayev to give them a chayer, the 24 things. And we learned yesterday in Hilcha in the last halach yesterday is chayev nidui. You don't do the nidui publicly in a vaheshiya way or some type of in an explicit way. You are in chayim. We don't say it to the nasi. And even if they act this way in their serial offenders, I mean, Cain also one of the things we went yesterday. First was a chayim for if it's mach the rabbim al derech yav men avad. That was mamish. He caused people to worship the Zar, right? When Yav ben Avad was a new melech of the Israel, first king of the breakaway kingdom, first breakaway minion, and he said if they're going to go there, it's to the first regal after the breakaway, they go to Yerushalayim, and the Melech is going to read everybody like the first hakel. So I'm going to be like a nobody sitting over there, and then everyone's going to go back to Malchus to Bishtav. So he made his own little situation with the Zara. So if he's doing things like that, that's when you put him chayim for Hesya. If there's any other idea which requires nidui. Malkin, they say, Betzina, you give him Malchus. Betzina, the first thing means Malkin in the sense you give him the punishment. I mean, Malchus, it means actually Chayim, they want to say Pshat over here. Okay. Because Lav Daf, in other words, if he's a Chayim, something which you give him Malchus, so why Betzina? Even the Melech King Gadol, the Sanhedrin, doesn't say give Malchus Betzina, you give Malchus to anybody else. Then he goes back to his Gedula. That's what the Sanhedrin.
Means punishment?
The Melam punishment, which means over here Chayim. Okay. That's why it's Betzina, not Hashem. It says, if you stumble by day, the Navi will stumble at night. So the point is that over here the Chacham referencing the concept of the Navi is called the Chacham is called a Navi, so to speak, and then saying that if it has to be actually done in a secret way at nighttime, that's what the pasuk means. But then we tell him return to your honor and go to your house quiet. We did this discreetly, so it's not to the office of the Talmud Torah should not be disgraced, and now return to your state and hope that he gets his lesson. The chayin similarly not just. So I said Malchus they say means you punish. If he's chayiv Malchus, he ate he ate chaylev, but mezid. It's not done b'tzina. You give Malchus to anybody else. That's what the punishment is saying. Malchus means chayin. Chayin called Talmud Chacham ain't Talmud Chacham. Even if he's not necessarily unique in his Chacham, he's a Talmud Chacham of average Talmud Chacham status. You need chayiv nidoi chayiv chayin for another reason we learned in the previous parak. Also, the Beis in the Kuwait, the Beis is not allowed to be very eager to put in the cheder. They try to sort of avoid the matter, defer to a Beis and greater than them. The Chasidei Chachamim, and they were great Chassidim among the Chachamim. They would boast, they were proud of themselves. They like in Barim, if I would say in the Shah. They never became part of. They never were counted among a Beis that put the Ham Chacham in cheder. So even though they had no problem giving him Malchus. Because Malchus, if they're big Malchus, it's not a bazillion. Listen, everyone thinks it's harder. But the point is that these things, it's fun, even though it's not real Isurim, having an Isur in your house, having a dangerous wall in your house, first putting Chem takes it away. Or let's say even better, these would be the examples of chayda of a person who, let's say, he didn't pay. Right? He says, I don't have to pay this best as much amaratzim. I don't have to pay. So these are things that even though that's where they would very very reluctant to put someone in chayda. Even though when it comes to malchus, if he's chayav malchus, they were not so hesitant. I feel malchus mad, even malchus at Rabbanan, which is a little bit more of a bizoyan. It's considered more disgraceful. If a person says, I keep a mitzvahs I keep, but the Rabbanan is I lach up. That's even, some ways, even more of a bizoyan for Talmud Chacham. And still, they no problem doing that. But if over there also, they would be part of the bez and give a malchus if necessary. But Nidui Chayrim has its own unique chumrah, and that they were very, very reluctant. For the general perception of the public of Kavod HaTorah, they would not be involved in such a process. What is the process of putting someone in the Chayrim? We say, if he's not in front of us, we're putting him in the Chayrim because he didn't show up to the best. So he's not here. Polani b'samta, this guy is in Samta. Samta is the word according to Rambam for Nidui, which is a lower level Chayrim. Nidui. Nidui will fun if it's in his presence. And we play it. Polani said, this person is b'samta. But Chayrim, and Chayrim is Polani muchpas, person in Chayrim, which is more severe level than Nidui. The term of order, if you say this person is order, if a person says on himself, I'm order if I don't do X, Y, and Z, right? Which is the way we'll see a person can also put himself in Chayrim. Yehuda, right? Yehuda, son of Yaakov, said, I'm in Chayrim in this world. The next one, I don't bring Binyamin back to you. So a Talmud Chacham has the ability to put himself in Chayrim if he chooses to, or at least if he, as a way of demonstrating his seriousness. But the lashon of order by Allah can mean order play. I should be order if I don't do X, Y, and Z. It's like saying a shavua that I will do this and this. That's the lashon of a shavua. You chayav b'shavua not Torah, like Ram told us in the Chashuas. So it has also of Allah. Sorry. Allah is cursed. If a person says so and so is cursed, right? He's cursed. Let's say Allah plaini, etc. That's an avera of cursing another yid or cursing yourself, which is also. Boy, shavua can be lashon of shavua. Person says I should be order if I don't do X, Y, and Z, right? That's also lashon of shavua. Boy, also the person says I should be order if I don't do such and such. That's a way of saying if I don't do it, I'm going to be putting myself in chayrim. How you put yourself out of chayrim? Then you tell him, Shalach, you are permitted. We're going to learn. Chayrim is more severe. We're going to learn. Weiter. Yeah. We'll see soon. No. We just said there's two types. We didn't say what they are. Halacha Dal is going to tell us that. Okay, Halacha Gimel. Case of a terrorist, I need to take someone out. I need to chayrim. Only playing the sound. We said this person. Sorry. Only playing Shalach. You're permitted. Machalach. It's permitted to you. You're released. If they take him out and he's not in his presence, we tell him plainly, this guy is Sharai, which is lashon of permitted, Machal is permitted. And you don't have to say both. It says in Chashuvis, in Perek Vav, but either you say Sharai or Machal. A person has been placed in Nidui. How is he supposed to conduct himself? And how are you supposed to conduct yourself towards him? So how he conducts himself and how do you conduct yourself with him? He's not going to take a haircut, or to bathe, or to do laundry. Similar to treat himself like a basic a level of availance of a person who's mourning a sibling, not a parent. Call him in all the days that he is in Nidui. Now, how do we treat him? You don't make part of his mazumin. You don't count him in a minion. Even though the Pasuk say he's allowed to go into shul, there's 10 people without him. There's 9 people without him, he can't go to shul because then by default he's still part of the minion hypothetically for the mechuyev now to say Davish Kedusha if he's there. But you're forcing people to mistarif you in the group of 10 if there's only 9 and you go to shul, not you, the person in the goes to shul. So he's allowed to go to shul doesn't mean without him. But if there's 9 people, Avdaf is allowed to go to shul. Okay, but again, he now can count him with a minion. The whole Davish Shitach, anything for which it feels necessary, for example, davening or saying Lekenu by benching. But he's not allowed to sit, or for that matter, stand. Go within Dalan Amis of the person who's in Chayim. He's allowed to teach Torah. He's allowed to learn Torah. He's allowed to go to the shir. You stand in the back, obviously, right? But that's the thing. The Niska V'Seichi is allowed to be hired out. You can hire him, right? You leave a package at his door with an address. He comes to pick up a check later, and that's not a problem. You're not allowed to be involved with him socially, but this is okay. Now, if he passed away when he's still in his nidui, and he didn't try to have himself released, so based in they place a stone over his order. To say they are so to speak stoning him. They should move them at tzibur as a demonstration of separating him from the tzibur. You don't give him a hesped. There's no levaya. These are all because he passed away, and he didn't make an effort to come out of Nidui while he was alive. Again, these talking about case he was in Nidui because he was mezalzel when he went to Torah, not because he didn't pay the money to sell the person from the Torah. For monetary issues, a lot of these things don't apply. That's what that's talking about. Okay, so let's say example. He's put Nidui, for example, for severe things like he was, like we said, for example, one of the things is a person who brings the public to a chilul Hashem, right? Or for example, a butcher who doesn't check the knife by a chacham before you check. These are all severe things. That's these things are referring. See, I think he's in this peg. He can go to the bezin and then ask them to release it. Right? And sometimes he has to do the thing they put him in the family for. Sometimes I promise to let he said a person has a dangerous dog in his property, dangerous animal. When he commits to get rid of it, that's enough. Or he has to actually get rid of it. It depends on, I think, how many times he's placed it. I don't know if I'm going into that. Let's see. Halacha hey, yes. No, yep. Yeah. Sure, we'll see. He doesn't mention affairs, but you see in the way they see how hesitant they are sometimes. Yeah. Yes, 1,000%. Yeah. Yes. That happens in many communities, but yeah. Some communities, unfortunately, they treat it like a joke. What's the every shlai, every other Monday and Thursday, there's a sign that says what sherry, right? What's Russian? Sherry, right? No, sherry. What's Shem Yisham Yurka? Right? Every person on the wall. No, isn't this like mimicking Shalayim? The whole lesson is so this so and so is whatever he's a I just want a cherry. Exactly. That's the okay. It's not a joke. It's not true. Hello, hey, that you asked that odd kind of thing you do. Chenim. Yas love a muchram person chenim is more severe. She'enei sheni is not allowed to teach Torah. Not chenim. You can't go to his shir. Then he's not allowed to come to the shir. Al Hashem la'atzmai kidei shelo yishkach chamud. He's allowed to learn himself. He shouldn't forget. He is considered like an ovel. An ovel is not allowed to learn Torah. But in order to b'tzad the isser for getting Talmud Torah to avoid that issue, he's allowed to do chazorah. That's what he could do. The Eiram Niska is not allowed to be hired. Okay, in the Niska in law, you're not allowed to hire him. The Eiram he's not allowed to be hired. He can't hire others. Excuse me. The Eiram he can't do business with him. The Eiram Misaskim when he can't do business. The different. Misaskim is one kind of business. Misaskim. These different types of businesses. I find exactly the difference between Misaskim and Misaskim. Right, that's true. Is like right, like merchandise versus money. Yeah. Enough that he shouldn't go hungry. He shouldn't lose money. I guess that's what he means. His basic income, that much is allowed. Again, you can't be within his alams. The guy's in Nidui, and he stayed in this Nidui 30 days. 30 days have passed, and he hasn't come to ask forgiveness. He didn't do the thing he was placed in Nidui for. Usually, what happens? He comes, he says, okay, I feel bad, I'm going to do what I'm supposed to. Or I did it, I paid the guy, right? Because he didn't ask to be released, put him in the second time. He sits near a second step 3 days, because he didn't try to have it released. Then, as a more severe measure, you up the temperature, you put him in chayim. Again, the pashtos, when he comes, in Nidui, which is less severe, if he comes to ask to be removed, that's sufficient. The first 3 days for sure. The second 30 days, it's not clear, but the first 3 days for sure. Once he comes,
what a chayrim is, and then say how a chayrim is different than a mitzvah. He starts off how it's different.
Well, he
explains what a chayrim is.
Because when he tells you that we know that he starts telling what neither is that's a chayrim, except the chayrim is more severe. So the part that's different, he tells you afterwards. First, he tells you what they're the same. So whatever he says about Nidui is also chayim. Then he has a muchrim. What's the next level up? But okay, here's the question. What's the number of people necessary for a person to be matir Nidui chayim? Now to put someone in chayim, we learn Talmud Chacham do by himself, or if it's for his own, or for other reasons, or if it's for his own coverage. If it's something a person does, he deserves to put in chayim. He has a dangerous dog in his house. Any yid can put in chayim, like we learned. Even if Rabbi sees shivcha put someone in chayim, right? And if the person, what if no one sees? The guy comes to on the best, and this guy we know he did this thing or whatever deserves chayim. The best puts him in chayim. So best in the chayim is 3. Now, how many people are necessary to take a person out of chayim, regardless of why he was put in the chayim? Right? How do you take a person out of the chayim? There's 3 people, even if they're simple people. A yachid mumcha, or a yachid who's a mumcha, meaning he's a Talmud Chacham unique stature, or he says over here, pshat, he's a mumcha in the halachas of chayrim. So he's like considered a mumcha in these categories. So in Garim and in Chayrim, matir anid levada, he can be matir anid even by his own without a bed. Generally speaking, a Talmud is not allowed to paskin halacha or be matir neder in the locale where his rab is the mardasra, or even if he's still alive, he doesn't give him rishus. When it comes in matir from the Chayrim, no rishus necessary. Once you qualified and once you're going to get the halachim, that's sufficient. That's sufficient because we want to make it easier to remove the Chayrim, not make it harder. Three people put a person in the Chayrim, and time passed, and they're no longer here. He's no longer there, whatever. And now he did tshuva, but those people put him in the Chayrim aren't here. So what do you do? So what the Chayro, the Rambam says, three people come to the Matir. Now the previous halacha Rambam said that any three people could take you out of Chayrim. So why is Rambam here saying, what do you do? We know the answer. So it's funny why the Rambam kind of makes it sound like he doesn't know the answer. And let's say the three people who put in the Chayrim are still here. Anybody's can go to any three people to put you. It's much like you're supposed to go to the original people. Previous halacha is not much to go to the original people. Here's much you should go to the original people. Okay. Let's just do it. Halacha yud. Mishala yada minado. Person was placed in Chayrim by somebody. Right? The guy sees you, a dangerous dog chasing you, he's in Chayrim and he keeps walking. How do you get out of it? Same thing, gets less on us. Now, so here's the problem. To take it out of a nidoy, there has to be a Talmud Chacham who is at least the same. This is actually really what the steer comes to the previous halacha. Really. Okay. So again, the Chayra, same question. Go to any three people and they're mad at you. What's the problem? There has to be dafka. So it has to be dafka somebody who knows a bigger Talmud Chacham than the person who put you in Chayra. But you don't know who he is. So how do you know if the person you're going to release the Chayim is a qualified stature? Go to the Nasi. The Nasi is considered the ultimate level, and therefore you go to the Nasi, he'll be not nedi for you. No, not nedi. You're Aleph. Nidi al Tanai. Person puts himself in Chayim al Tanai. Because the name of the Yachid Mumcha is not as big as Talmud Chacham as the anonymous person who puts you in Chayim. The person who takes you out of the Chayim has to be bigger. That's why you go to the Nasi. That's the B'char of Shah. Now, do we know there's a concept of Torah for Tanai? Al-Manas, make it tonight. There's a concept we learn about other parts later on extensively in the issues in the moment. Is there a concept of Chayim al Tanai? So Ram says, yeah, in Nidal al Tanai, a person who says so and so is in Chayim al Tanai, that this doesn't, right? Or even if it says I'm in Chayim al Tanai, I don't do Tzarech Hafara, that Tanai requires Hafara. Even if the Tanai is not fulfilled. And we learn this from Yehuda. Yehuda put himself in Chayim. If he doesn't bring Yamin back, I brought Yamin back alive and well. So why was his bones rolling around over there? Because when you make a Tanai, it's as if the Tanai wasn't fulfilled. The fact you fulfilled the Tanai doesn't make a difference. So that's basically what big daf by Talmud Chacham. So how come Yaakov didn't take him out of Chayim? Kasha. Talmud how come he take himself out of Chayim? Also Kasha. Talmud Chacham Moshe Rabbeinu took him out of Chayim. Talmud Chacham shenid la'atzma. Talmud Chacham who put himself in Chayim. Afilu nid la'atzma das plenty if it's on das of someone else. Afilu al davar shechayel of nidoy. And even if it's something which you are taking chayim nidoy for. So if I don't get rid of my dangerous dog, I'm chayim nidoy. So harei made for the atzma. He can take himself out of Chayim. Put himself in, take himself out. Again, so how come he didn't do that? It's a question before we talk about it. Apparently, I didn't look anything up. So the question is, so the word by Yehuda, since the thing he made a Tanai is hypothetically out of his control, because the thing he committed to do is lav dafka he could do, no matter how much effort he puts in. If Yosef wouldn't give me Yamin back, nothing to do. If I say Manas, I do this thing, and I could do it if I put the right effort in, then Talmud Chacham can take himself out of Chayim. By Yehuda, the thing he promised to do, there's a chance he couldn't do it no matter what he does. Yosef says no, but that's why he couldn't take himself out of Chayim. Ramah actually passes that way. If he makes himself, if a Chayim happens out tonight, and it's something the person could do, totally in his control, and Taka does it, then Taka the Tanai takes effect, and therefore the Chayim is void. Okay. This is fascinating. Remember, we're going to learn Hilchos Meiser and Truma. If a person doesn't know where his father's grain is, and he has it in the cholam, the grain you're looking for is in this location, and it's Meiser, and he finds it in that location, and he doesn't treat it as Meiser. Why? Because dreams are allowed back on the merit. However, sometimes we do. That's something else. So that's so proof I care. So that's 1 second. Good. Okay, so now me should do b'chalem. Person is putting chayim in a dream. So do we say divin chalemis are hevel? Maybe not. It's a chance that this is a shtickle nevuah. But Mela, I feel you he knows in his dream who went to. He go to the guy says, "Had a chalom, you put me in chayim, take me out of chayim." Doesn't work that way. So because it could be like a Mila that just sent a message to this person. But going to him is lav dafka the source of the chayim. Have in mind it was the Rav. Go to the Rav. Lav dafka helps you. Passing to Rambam, since it's a shtickle nevuah, possibly 10 people, because I'll call the Asar Shchita Shayo, and 10 even you have the Shechina, Dafka 10 even who are qualified to the Chum who learn halacha, which means the Pashas Gemara, and the for sure. They could remove him from his chayim. And the place Pasuk say, what if he has another dream the next day? They take him out of chayim. Maybe the first dream was a nevuah, and the second dream was Tamach Aleim. Therefore, you have to chayish the first dream. You have to go to the minyan. Now, so the whole question is, so we find the Pasuk, and there's an arichas about this in the Hakadama to Shalos and Shuvas Menashamayim from Mr. Rav Kook, Rav Margolius goes to all the Makaris. They never did it before in the Rishimas, but no one knew about it though until the Rishimas were printed. All the sources in Rishonim where they talk about when the cases with the Chachamim or the Go'anim, Rishonim, Achronim, Paskin certain things based on certain like Nevuah or Hakodesh, certain things. Now the Torah B'Shamayim, but there are times when you can. There is certain times where a hint of Nevuah does have an influence, right? Why we pass on Pesil? Because it was a baska. So at certain times there is an influence. This is one of those times with the chayshish for nevuah. Good. So now he has to have a minion. In my much does have a minion. Parsa. He has to find a minion of Yidden who learn Gemara up to a parsa. If he doesn't find even after a parsa, then materially asar shalom mishnah. Then the Gemara, as long as you learn mishnayos, that's enough. So before he said halachas, means Gemara. He means mishnah means mishnayos. So that's enough. Again, Loimat doesn't find even those within a parsa. As long as he has the meaning of Yidden who know how to read Chumash. Yeah, Loimat, you can't even find that. Even 10 Yidden who don't know how to read, as long as it's a minion. If he doesn't even find that to a parsa, then Asar Matin, Asar doesn't find even there's no 10 Yidden who he is. He lives in the middle of nowhere. But at least even a basic bezdin of Hediotis is sufficient to matizmi. The Pasuk say that over here that this is enough to save him from any kind of compare Yisur that the Chaim would cause. It's not a total release. So therefore, when he has a chance to do with the minion, he should do it again with the minion. I wonder if this is connected to the fact that we got Torah Dorim and Yom Kippur Dafka. Lubavitch was a minion Dafka. It's interesting that he did it with 3 people. Sometimes my father in Syracuse doesn't have a minion, so he has 3 people. So he does a Torah Dorim. He comes to New York for the Bayaz Esrog, Tshuva, or after Yom Kippur. When the Torah Dorim? Every Shoshana, every Shoshana. So when he comes to Gedalia to buy an Esrog, he does it again with 10 people. I'm just wondering if this is Taka. You see, this is a concept. Okay. Good Gimel. Me should I do it b'fun of a person? They put him in chayim in front of him. Then he has to be taken out of the chayim. There are more passions Taka that that you have to have a minion. There's no 3 people that can help you no matter what. So you know 3 people you are got to travel up to past the pass. So go find a minion no matter how far. Okay, me should do in front of a person who put chayim in his presence. Right, he's in the best. He's in front of him. They say you are in etc. Derech Hagav, do you have a lachas by you or it skips it? By me, it goes Zion test.
Oh, you're right.
So people say because sometimes the word cherem is referenced. It's not nice. It's not a nice word. Don't write it out. They write a ches apostrophe. Dam didn't want to even do that because it's the whole parak is about cherem. So he wants to, or he can't avoid it. That's what people say. Why all the person is not there? Okay, anyways, whatever. I'm not sure where that comes from. I forgot who said that. Last time that's what I said. I don't remember where I got it from. All right. So now, if he's putting chayim and in his presence, then the Torah also has to be in his presence, right? Right? Why? Because if he's in chayim, they say you take him, you're in chayim. Then later on, whatever reason, the dangerous dog dies. So he didn't do anything, but lucky him. So he's no longer in chayim, and people go and they start talking to him. This guy who thinks he's in chayim is going to start looking at these people that they're being over halacha. I'm in chayim, and these people are talking to me. He doesn't know the best in took him out of chayim. He knows they put him in chayim. Therefore, when he's taken out of chayim, it also has to be in front of him. So he knows why are people talking to me. Shalom aleichem, shalom, because the Bezin said so. I was there. They do Shalom in front of him, but he's not there in the first place. He finds out, hey, by the way, this morning the Bezin put you in the chulu. Now, if you're not in front of that case, it could be even not in front of him because he knows something people are talking to me. Why? Just like they put me in the chayim and I wasn't there. They must have taken me out of chayim and I wasn't there. So it's not going to be chil Hashem. The transition between being a chayim and reversing it, nothing is necessary. There's no process that has to happen. You don't have to be no big nissen. Ella madin menadir matirim rega echad can be done instantaneously. Clarifying it. Once he does exactly what has to be done to the proper path, then you put him back in Matanida. If Bezin sees necessary to leave him in Chayim for many years, they put him there as his wickedness is not if necessary. Let's say Bezin sees that's so severe, we're not going to put him in Nidai and then wait 30 days and then another 30 days and then put him in Chayim. Like the Chayim are going to go and put him in Chayim. If they want, he's in Chayim. Whoever shares the food with him is in Chayim. Whoever talks to him is in Chayim. If Bezin sees necessary, they do it all to chastise him and to make a guard for the Torah. Actually, so the sinner should not breach the Torah if necessary. Now you mentioned before, Chayim is a serious business, right? So the Ram says even though Talmud Chacham can be menad to someone for his cover, like we learned in Perek Vav. Talmud Chacham should not be someone who conducts himself in this manner. It's allowed, but it's not a miler. He closes his eyes and his ears from the words of the bizoyin of the Amaratzim, because Amaratzim back then it was like a class. They didn't like Talmud Chacham. They felt inferior. It was like us and them mentality, right? Because also to learn Torah, no svar. All Talmud Chacham has to be around together, constantly sharing the Torah, sharing the. You wanted to learn Masechta Bava Kama. I had to stand in front of you and use Chazan Bal Peh. I'm going to listen. That's how it works. So there was like a social. By default, there was like a social barrier between them and Amaratzim. Yeah. So therefore, there was all these insults happening. People in the hand don't pay attention to them. As Shem said in his wisdom, to all the matters they say to you, don't pay attention to them, right? This is the mucker where it says in the Gemara, we say Rebbeinu Shalom at night, and Marzuter, where every night would say that the Meichel ever wronged them, etc. That was the path of the Chassidim. When they hear their disgrace for others, but they don't respond. Not only that, and they forgive those people who would scorn them. The who would, they were proud of themselves in their good conduct as what? They never put someone in the Chayim to uphold their own honor. They were on the cover. This is the proper path of a Talmud Chacham to follow. If it's a secret bizoyin, if he disgraces it in poverty. If Talmud Chacham is shamed by somebody in public, also Talmud Chacham is not allowed covered. So Chacham if he chooses to be mechas covered, different things that a person is to honor him. But once the person goes and he's maval with Talmud Chacham in public, now I'll do that. Now, if the guy tells him about it tomorrow, if you spit in my face in public, I'm meichel you. That wouldn't work either. We're talking about the things that you're in covered. He can be meichel on his covered. He can't be meichel on his bezoy. And if he forgives the guy and says it's okay, he's punished. He has to be vengeful, like a snake. Ask forgiveness, and only then she can forgive him, because that is a matter of commentary. And if he doesn't have the brave guy to do that, then he has to go to therapy for his self-esteem. Or he has to develop his. Yes.